Good morning, everybody. It's just gone 8 and we are awake, amazingly. So we're going to start getting ready, because I'm not an early morning person at all, but I am awake, and it is in an area where people could start wondering. I don't think anyone's going to wonder. I'd be amazed if, unless the local person wanders down, at 9 o'clock or something. I'd be amazed, realistically, if there's anyone, like, the public wandering down before 9 or 10. But it's possible. So I think it's better to start packing up and head back. Like I said, if I was more over that way a little bit, off the main path, as it were, then I would probably hang around longer. But it's probably a good practice to try and get going a bit earlier. But it's still 8 o'clock. I mean, it's still going to be gone 9 before we actually, it'll probably be like 9:30 or something like that before we actually have any actual progress of moving off. But we will see. It's probably not a bad idea to have an earlier start occasionally. I felt tired again last night early, but I deliberately stayed awake. So I watched the film until about 11 o'clock. And then I still didn't really feel very tired, bizarrely, at 11. But by then I thought, well, I better put my head down and try and get some sleep. So I put my head down at 11. And I think I fell asleep fairly quickly. Then I woke up at 1 because one of the guy lines here knocks on the fabric. It's a bit too long. So, like I said, it's my friend's tent, so he's got it set up how he likes it. So I probably wouldn't have quite so long lines on there, or I would remember that they are long and then just tie them off. But actually, one thing that Chris meant, it would be better to have those, I don't know what they're called, the little cleat things that are on the Hillebergs. So you just put a loop. So you just put a loop through a loop on the top, and then one of those cleat things, and then you can slide that cleat along. And then that way you haven't got any loose, dangly bits of cord after you've, made your guy lines whatever length you need them to be, if that makes any sense. So yeah, so that kept me awake a little bit at 1 o'clock. I put earplugs in and that helped. So like I said, we'll have breakfast. I mean, in the very, 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 very early days of when I was camping here, I was up before it was light, getting ready and packing up in the dark. I was like awake at 7 o'clock, and I remember once, a long time ago, with one of my very early camps here, I remember walking up the hill towards the car. I think it was, well, I mean, we're virtually into December now, aren't we? Let's face it. And I remember the sun coming up. I remember sort of videoing the sun rising as I was walking up the hill. Wow, that was an early start. Mind you, like I said, the sun, in December rises at 8 o'clock or something. Anyway, cheers everybody So we're gonna have this tea, that porridge, then we'll make one more tea, and then we'll start packing up around while we're doing all of that, I think. And let's try and get going for about 9:30. I don't think we'll be gone for 9, but we'll try and get going for about 9:30, and that's only an hour, just over an hour away. I think if I start preparing bits and everything, then but yeah, no one's I put the earplugs in, and then I put my head down again, and I must have slept through from 2 or 3 o'clock right through until about 7:30, because I think I woke up at 7:30, something like that, and it was light or lighter. And then, like I said, I saw that it was coming up to 8, and I thought, well, we'll slowly start to pack up. Right, I'll catch up in a minute. But yeah, we had a good night's sleep. I slept in just my t-shirt and like base layer. I took both warm, well, I mean, I wouldn't call them really warm, but I took both my jackets I took off, and I never needed them at all during the night. There is a draft coming in, but it's not too bad. I don't think it's that cold. It's 7.5. Coldest. The coldest night that we had was the first evening up on Steepleton, and that one went down to about 4 degrees. Coldest last night really was about, bizarrely, was about 8 o'clock this morning, 7:30 this morning. Yeah, the coldest was between 6:30 and 7:30 this morning, when it went down to about 6.5. At 6:30 it was 7. At 7 it was 6.7. At 7:30 it was 6.4. And at 8 it was 6.3. But the 7.5 that it's showing now, this thing is so sensitive that it's quite probable that it's picked up a little bit of the warmth from my cooking. We'll see whether it changes. It's 7.5 now. But I kind of get the impression that the sun is trying to peek out, so it might have warmed up a bit, comparatively speaking. Oh, I forgot to mention, yesterday when I looked at those socks in the morning, they were still quite damp. They hadn't dried out. The sleeping bag hadn't really been affected. I didn't notice anything, any real dampness with the sleeping bag or anything, but the socks, I mean, they were maybe marginally drier than the night before, but that's to be expected. But they were still quite damp, so yeah, they didn't dry out. I wasn't sure what would happen. Realistically, I didn't really think they would dry, but I put them in just to see, but they were about the same. Another little tip for you is plastic gloves. These are a bit on the tight side, to be honest, but if they help to keep your gloves dry when you're putting away the tent, then you know it's probably worth a little bit of discomfort if they're a bit tight. I don't know what the wind chill is out here, but it's definitely nippier outside than in, that is for sure. Okay, so I think that's all the outside pegs, so it's just the four corners. Okay, so obviously with the Durston, if you used your if you use your poles, just be very careful when you drop it. Get that pole out sort of down and down and out. Oh. All right, once it's dropped, then you know it should be safe enough. Okay, so the wind is blowing from behind, so I think I would do your tent going into the wind. Oh no, this is the bit that I really don't like with this tent, is packing it away. Oh, I hate this bit. Dan, you really need a much bigger stuff sack. Lassie! Dan, you need a much bigger stuff sack. There's people crap down on me like the creeping lurgy. Just gone 9 and the first tourists are here. If it's a question for I doubt very many experts watch my stuff, but if it's like snowy and icy, I'm assuming that you don't put your crampons on until the last minute. Oh dear God, I hate this bit. Dan. Oh Dan. Does nobody else ever comment about trying to get this into their stuff sack? I mean, this is probably the most difficult tent to pack, and I detest it with an absolute passion. I feel like just throwing the thing away. It's just, you know, how it's so tight. Oh. People do this on, you know, freezing cold camps. How? Oh, fucking hell. I tell you, this is not fun. I'm quite a patient person, but this is beyond ridiculous. Kind of get the angle, but that is just so tight. It's just too tight, Dan. You need to just make this pack. I mean, if I was using this tent again, I would pack it in a slightly bigger pack, because it'll still pack down the same. It's just once it's in, I mean, it goes, once it's in there, then clearly there's plenty of room. But you know, once you've kind of tamed it, but if you had a slightly bigger pack, you could still squish it down into your pack. You know, it wouldn't have to stay, you know, big. It will squish down, but that really is difficult to pack away. That really is difficult to pack away. All right, well, we're heading back to the car now, so nothing very exciting can happen now. Not that anything exciting happens anyway, we're just camping, but it's not far, it's just up this hill. It's further up the hill than it is down the other side, like 15 minutes probably. So this really is an ant 5 minutes, and we first of all camped way over there somewhere, and then we did an ant camp way over there. That's Sittaford Tor up there, isn't it, on the horizon, that nipple looking thing. That's Sittaford Tor, I think. So we were camped the other side of that nipple. And then obviously this one here, nice and easy this time. But if we come here in the summer, then we do need to find something that's off this path. There's a green bit there, there's some green over there, there's a green patch over there, so it might not be very close to water, but we can always carry water, you know. It might be worth, some of those areas might be worth an investigation. The only thing, there is, I don't know what it's called, is it called a leat? But I don't know. There is like a waterway that kind of comes down here and under a stone bridge. I don't mean the Clapper bridges, but there's a little stone bridge there, but it's one of those waterways that's, you can't really step across it because it's too wide. And yet it's not one that you can, they're quite deep, you know. I don't know, are they like a man-made thing to get water, you know, around into villages, or are they natural? Anyway, so you've got one of those that's kind of down. Then I don't know how you cross that. I guess when you go further along, they're probably easier to cross. Anyway, so we've got this Rab Vaporize. I don't know the temperature because of course I've packed it away, but we know in the tent it was about 7 degrees. I mean, with that wind chill, it must be, I mean, it might not be freezing, but it's pretty nippy. And I must admit, it's not 100% windproof, but I think it's blocking, but it is blocking a good portion of the wind. I had heard of them because Dave in Cheddar in the Gorge Outdoors mentioned them to me a few years ago. He joked with me the other day. He says, "Oh, when he recommends something, I don't listen." When Chris Townsend recommends something, and I'm all ears. But yeah, Dave did mention it. But I think I had my wind shirt and fleece, and it's kind of it's not really a wind shirt fleece combination, but it's almost a very light fleece wind shirt combination. But to be fair, I think a fleece and a wind shirt would probably almost certainly be warmer and more windproof as well, obviously. because the fleece is almost a mid layer, and this is kind of more a base mid layer. It's kind of in between the two, but I have to say it has done well. I'm definitely glad I got it. Anyway, we're getting quite close to the car now. We'll be at the car in the next 5 minutes, I think. And you can see all around us. I showed you over there. We went over that way yesterday. All right, well, there's not really anything else to report because, like I said, I'm going to be at the car in 5 minutes, so maybe, I don't know about less, but we're close now. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. Hopefully Lake District next trip. We'll kind of see how it goes. Obviously, like I said, I didn't bring Lizzie on this one. I'm thinking of a stay in one place camp back down here just before Christmas. So maybe I'll bring Lizzie down for that, because it's probably a bit easier to keep it warm and cozy in one place, but we'll see. Okay, I can even see the car now. It's still a couple of minutes or so, but okay, all right. Well, I will sign off, and I will see you all. I blow my nose as well. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Notifications to all. Next time. Thanks very much for watching.